Okay, here's a video for 4.6, practice A. We've been talking about solving quadratics or solving any kind of equations with factoring, with all kinds of stuff. So finding zeros. Finding zeros means finding answers. So we're going back to 4.5, finding the zeros. So we were talking about, 4, 4, 4, 3. We got quadratic formula, steps for factoring. So all kinds of stuff that we've been working with. So now we're just going to look and see the last couple of things about solving. And how many solutions does a problem have is what this first four are talking about. How many solutions? So all you really have to do is look at the exponent of the biggest exponent, the largest exponent. So in this first one right here, you can see the largest exponent is a fourth power. So right here, you've got your biggest exponent is x to the fourth. So this would have four solutions. Four solutions. Okay, so actually, let's do this. Let's do it in blue. So I'm going to circle that, and I'm going to put 4. Okay, number 2, the biggest exponent is a 3. That's going to have 3 solutions. Here, the biggest exponent is a 5. That's going to have 5 solutions. Now, it may not be all real solutions. You might have some imaginary numbers in there. You might have some negative square roots. This one's going to have 6 solutions. So those are just how many solutions will this have? Okay, so now they want us to find the solutions. So I'm going to do the 3 here. I'm not going to do 7. So number 5 is a trinomial, 3 terms. Whenever I see 3 terms, my immediate thinking is to see if the x will work, because that's the easiest. Can I factor a negative 36, multiply to get negative 36, and add up to a negative 5? And you can. Negative 9 and a positive 4 would give you negative 36 when you multiply and negative 5 when you combine. But notice that you have x to the 4th in front. So we know we're going to have 4 solutions. 4 solutions. Okay, and since I have x to the 4th, when I make my 2 parentheses here, I'm going to need to put x squared times x squared if I want to get x to the 4th. Can't just put x squared or x times x, because that would only be x squared. And we're going to put equals 0 because we're finding the zeros. So we have a negative 9 and we have a positive 4 as my 2 factors. Positive 4, why did I put 5? Okay, so there's your negative 9. There's your positive 4. Those go in the parentheses, okay? Now this x squared minus 9 is actually, if you've been paying attention to our factoring, it's a difference of squares. So this is actually x plus 3 and x minus 3. There's 2 of our zeros right there. What's going to make each one of those 2 zeros? Negative 3 and positive 3. There's 2 solutions right there. Now x squared plus 4 equals 0, you would have to solve by using square roots. So subtract 4 on both sides. X squared is going to be negative 4. And so if you square root both sides, you're going to get x equals plus or minus. Okay, now remember, this can be broken out as negative 1 times 4. This equals I, this equals 2. So it's plus or minus 2i. There's your 2 other solutions, a positive 2i and a negative 2i. So if you were to graph this equation, number 5, you would see 2 solutions on the graph because there's 2 of them that are real numbers. That would be the negative 3 and the positive 3. The 2 imaginary solutions would not be on the graph, but there are 2 solutions. So there's 4 total solutions there. We knew there was 4 because our exponent was a 4. Now, number 6 is kind of gnarly because it's got 5 terms. So what we need to do on this one is try to break it down as best we can. And that's why we had learned that synthetic division before. So let's look at this 6. What makes a 6? what are my factors of 6? 1 times 6, 2 times 3. So there's all my factors of 6. 1, 2, 3, and 6. Now you could actually have any combination of pluses and minus, positive 2, negative 2, positive 3, negative 3, positive 6, negative 6. So you could have positive or negatives of those. So what we need to do is use that synthetic division with, I would start with ones and see if you can find some factors. Okay, so I'm going to shrink this and bring it over so you can see what I'm going to do here. Okay, do 7. So zoom in a little bit. There you go. All right. So the 4 are all the coefficients. We have a 1, a 1, a -7, a -1, and a 6. So I'm gonna use the first one as a 1, my first factor, because when I broke it down, it was 1, 2, 3, and 6. I'm gonna try the 1 first, and I'm gonna put all these numbers in there. So it was a 1, it was another 1, it was a -7, it was a -1, and a +6. Now this is a factor if it comes out as a 0 down here at the bottom. So we got to see if that comes out 0. If it doesn't, it's not a factor. So we bring down the 1, and then we multiply. 1 times 1 is 1. We put that here, and then we combine like terms. That's going to give me a 2. 1 times 2 is 2. Now I'm going to combine like terms again, and I'm going to get -5. 1 times -5 is -5. And I'm going to combine like terms and get -6. 1 times -6 is -6. They do cancel. You get 0. That does work. That is a factor. Okay, x minus 1 is one of my factors. So I could bring that, well, it was a positive 1 here, but in synthetic division, it's always the opposite of what is in our parentheses. So we know we're going to have x minus 1 as one of my factors. The rest of it is right here. Okay, so we had x to the 4th, so now it's going to be x to the 3rd, plus 2, that's this 2 right here, x squared, minus 5x minus 6 equals 0. So now we have 2 of our factors. Okay, now we want to try to break down this 4-term one right here. We want to try to break that down. So again, you've got 6, you've got the 4 factors. You got 1, 2, 3, and 6. 1, 2, 3, and 6. Let's try, let's see. Now it does have 4 terms. You could also try the box and see if you could break it down with the box method as well. But the 4 terms will also work. I'm going to tell you that you will be able to use let's see. We got that one already, so negative. So you need a -3 will work. Now you could try positive or -1, positive or -2, positive or -3, positive or -6 from these factors right there. A -3 will work, and I have a 1, a 2, a -5, and a -6, and I want to get a 0 here. So bring down my 1 and multiply -3 times 1, get -3. Combine, you get -1. -3 times -1 is +3. Combine, get -2. -3 times -2 is +6. They cancel, you get 0. So now you have your another factor. Okay, so now you've got your x minus 1 as one factor, and you've got your x plus 3. Remember, you got to do the opposite. So this is going to be x plus 3 is a factor. What's left over then would be x squared minus x minus 2, which does factor with your x. You can use it, find a -2 to add up to -1. Will be a -2 times a +1. So this one's going to break down into x minus 2 and x plus 1. We have our x plus 3 that we're bringing down. And then we have this x minus 1 that we're bringing down. So we have 4 answers here. You've got a +1 answer, because that's going to make that 0. What makes this one 0 would be a -3. That would cancel out the +3. What's going to make that 0 is a 2. What's going to make that one 0 is a -1. And we knew it had to have 4 solutions because it had an exponent of 4 right up here. So we knew that are going to have 4 solutions. All right, here, 4 solutions, so that's 4 answers. And we found all 4 solutions because of that 4 right there. Number 8. So if you get a big long one like that, you might have to do synthetic division a couple times, but that's a good review. You could go back and watch the video for 4.4. It's also on there. 4.3 or 4.4. Number 8 is another trinomial. So I would always try, since it's a trinomial, I would try the x, because if the x works, then it's going to make it a lot easier for us. Let's multiply to get 18 positive. We're going to need -9 and -2, because that would multiply to be a +18 and add up to a -11. Now remember, we got to have our x squared, because it makes x to the 4th. So x squared minus 9, x squared minus 2. So again, this one we just saw earlier was x plus 3 and x minus 3. So you have a -3 solution and a +3 solution. Okay, so those are 2 answers right there. And then if you solve this one, if you add 2 to both sides, x squared equals 2, and you square root both sides, the other 2 answers are going to be a positive or a negative radical 2. So you had a +3, a -3, which I'll try to rewrite there. So you had a -3 here and a +3 there. Those were 2 of your solutions. And then you had your positive and negative radical 2 for your other one right there. So positive or negative radical 2 from this parentheses, and plus or minus 3 for this parentheses. Trinomials, you can always try the x and see if it works. That's always the best way to do it. Number 9 says the degree is 5. That means we're supposed to have 5 solutions. How many imaginary zeros? How many imaginary solutions? If we're supposed to have 5 solutions, and only one of them is showing up on my graph, just the one where it touches the x-axis, that means 4 of them are not touching the graph. 4 of them are imaginary. 4 of them are not shown, so they have to be imaginary. This one is supposed to have 4 solutions, because the degree is 4. We have 1 on the graph, we have another one on the graph, and we have another one on the graph. So 3 of them are on the graph. That means you're going to have 1 of them that's not on the graph, then 1 of them that's imaginary. 1 imaginary solution. All right, we're not going to do 14 or the last 3. So let's look at 11. Okay, so let's go down here and look at 11. Okay, so they're telling us what the solutions are. They want us to figure out what the polynomial looks like. So if a solution was -4, let me do 11 here. If a solution was -4, that means x plus 4 had to have been one of my parentheses, because to make it 0, I would need the -4. So to get -4 as an answer, I need x plus 4 as a parentheses. +1 would be x minus 1, and positive 2 would be x minus 2, and it equals 0. So what we need to do is multiply. So we'll do FOIL on the first two. So we have x squared minus x minus 1x and then plus 4x. And then we have minus 4. So this first one gives us x squared plus 3x minus 4. Then we got to multiply that by x minus 2. So we're going to multiply the first one times both. So it's going to give us x cubed. And then minus 2x squared. And then we're going to do the second one times both. It's going to give us positive 3x squared. And 3 times negative 2 is negative 6x. And then we're going to do the last one times both. So negative 4x. And then a positive 8. Okay, so our last step is to combine the like terms. So putting the like terms together gives us x cubed plus x squared minus 10x plus 8 equals 0. And that is the answer. That's the polynomial function. And that has 3 cubes. It has a cubic right here. So it's got 3 solutions. And we knew it had 3 solutions because these were the 3 solutions. So these were the 3 answers. So it's got a root of, or exponent of 3. So I know breaking this down is going to give me 3 answers. And 13 is a little tricky because it's got a square root. And we need rational coefficients, not irrational. Radical 3 is irrational. So to get rid of that irrational radical 3, okay, normally what we would do here, and let's do it, let's see. Let's just do it right next to, okay, normally what we would do is we would have x minus 2, because the answer has to be a positive 2 here, so we need x minus 2. Okay, and then we would have x minus radical 3. But if I do that, then that's going to give me a radical 3 as an answer, or as coefficient. To get rid of the radical, we're going to need to do x plus radical 3. I'll show you how that works because we'll do that one first. It'll be x times x is x squared. Here you'd have a positive x radical 3. Here you'd have a negative x radical 3. They would cancel. Negative radical 3 times positive radical 3 is going to be negative radical 9. But negative radical 9 is just negative 3. If you have a negative radical 9, you're just going to get negative 3. So that's going to get rid of the radical right there for us. So now we don't have any more radicals in the problem. So now we can bring down our x minus 2. And we can bring down x squared from that. Those canceled, though, then we have a minus 3. So now all you have to do is FOIL one more time. X times x is x to the third. Let's see, x times negative 3 is negative 3x. Negative 2 times x squared is negative 2x squared. Negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6. We know it equals 0. And we should switch these two around to get them in descending order. X cubed minus 2x squared minus 3x plus 6 equals 0. And that will be your answer there. All right, that is all we're doing on 4.6.